Now, I had a few technical difficulties while filming this. I hadn't realised the video would actually cut off after question 3. So this is part 2 of the Unit 5 test review. The steps are already up here, so I'm just going to talk through the steps now. So it says identify the equation of a line that has a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of 3. As we did this in the previous section, you can write down the equation of a straight line and then just literally plug in the numbers. So we know the slope is m. We're not going to put plus negative 3. We know that's just the same as subtract 3. Therefore, the answer is D. For perpendicular lines, which is what this question is about, I talk about also parallel lines at the same time because I think that's important. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocals. And as we talked in class, what that means is you flip it, that's the reciprocal part, and then you change the sign. That's what the negative part of that is. So if it says 5/9, you flip the fraction, so it becomes 9/5. As this is positive, we change the sign and make it negative. So the answer is negative 9/5. Now I also talked about before, what happens if you just have a single number though? So if I had negative 5, I can't flip it because it's not a fraction. So what we do is we make it into a fraction. Then if it says perpendicular, you can go ahead and flip it. But then you're going to change the sign. So it doesn't matter which one you change. If you change the 1 into -1, notice 2 negatives become a positive. What you're really looking for is if this is negative, this whole answer must be positive. So you can cope with if it's a fraction or if it's just a single number. And actually it's easier when it's a fraction because you can flip it automatically. But be careful on that word perpendicular. With both of these words beginning with P, make sure you choose the correct option. So parallel, same slope, perpendicular, flip it and change the sign. Select all 3 of the equations at direct variation. Now, I'm probably going to have to go back to the start for this one to explain why I got rid of some of the answers or why I selected some of the answers. Direct variation is y equals kx. So I can see that that would match that, where k equals 1. And I can also see this would be true, where k equals 1/7. Now, I actually recognise this one as direct variation, which we wrote down earlier, so I know it's not this one. And this one here has 2 equal signs, which I think that might be a mistake, but that's obviously not going to be true either. Which means it's going to be the last one. So how do we know it's the last one? Well, if I divide both sides by 4, then actually I get y equals x/4, so k would equal 1/4. Now it did actually give you some clues here anyway. Don't pick the ones with the variable on the denominator or the one with xy in it. So don't pick the one with xy in it, that would have got rid of that one. And don't pick the one with the variable on the denominator, that would have been that one there. So that was really, I guess, a check to make sure you're reading questions carefully. Sometimes they give you clues to get rid of some answers, so make sure you read the questions fully, and that actually makes your life very easy. This is our most common question probably in this unit. It's the point slope formula. So we're given a point, and this one does say parallel, so we know it's the same slope. So we have to find the slope of this line first, so -3. And then we can use the point slope formula. So I wrote out the point slope formula. I substituted in the numbers. So y1 it says is 4, and x1 it says is -1. So as I'm subtracting -1, I wrote +1. Then I went ahead and distributed -3 times x, -3 times 1, like we've been doing actually in Unit 7 right now. And then the opposite, -4 is to +4. And if you simplify here, -3 out of 4 gives you +1. But a very common question within this unit. And question 8, we're asked to find a value for this one. So direct variation, so y equals kx, and then I substituted in the 2 numbers that it gave me for this question. X is 1.5 and y is 6, so I plug those numbers into that formula, and then I solve for k by dividing both sides by 1.5. And I got an answer of 4, which looks like that might be the answer, but that's not the question. It doesn't ask what the constant of variation is. It asks us to find what the value of x is when y equals 8. So now I know that k is 4, I can actually plug in 4 here, so y equals 4x. And now I'm asked to find when y equals 8. So we're at 8 in for y, and then we go ahead and solve this equation. Divide both sides by 4, and we solve that x equals 2. And that was the last question in the second part of the Unit 5 pretest.